Trauma, something unwillingly takes over our mind and makes our mind an invisible prison. Episode 8 tackles this subject, and as a person with experience with trauma, I will be supplying you with my personal experience. First, we see Viltrumites creating a tsunami and crashing down to buildings. What a cool scene! And it was all in his head. Same incident occurs when he visits his mother, and this is where I begin to comprehend that this episode is using Mark's trauma to hold the attention span of the viewers. This problem is especially egregious in Eve's scene, where it should have been about her and the child that is lost. But the writers could not help themselves and make it about Mark's trauma. It's been established that it's been established by two whole panic attacks that Mark is unwell. We don't need this to be here. Eve's story has been built up since the beginning of the season, hence, I believe her story holds the highest significance. So, interrupting it does not make for a well earned ending to the Eve story. It feels as if they needed a distraction from the story of abortion. As abortion is a taboo subject, especially among Republicans, it feels as if the interruption happened to avoid the online backlash. Thus, using the phrase chickening out is appropriate. People can lose their lives a-okay, but abortion too close to the heart. But unlike this side story, Nolan and Cecil's story is very well done. They meet in the same place where Nolan almost killed Mark, and this is where episode kind of peaks. Nolan says that Cecil no longer needs to fear him, but rightfully Cecil
I
replies,
will never not be afraid of you.
Nolan replies he has laid his life on the line for Earth, and he is right, given that he almost died, but he still killed people and they are not coming back despite Nolan's heroic action. Thus, both parties have valid reason to stand on their viewpoint. In Invincible, as it may have been about the action scenes, it's about how these very action affect the individual containing the story. Such side stories that I love is between Debbie and Nolan. Again, take a wild guess who is the best character in the show. When they first meet, unlike the last time, he is a little aggressive and has Cecil's fear come true, and Nolan is back to his evil self? No, there's more to it. Nolan finds it annoying that Debbie rejects his change of heart.
Stop treating me like you don't know me.
Just like Cecil, Nolan sees this and he finds his limit, so he snaps. This is the first time Nolan has talked to Debbie like this since his character change. They are both reaching their limits, so what is a better way to cool off than going to a space trip? And I like Nolan wanted to reach out to Debbie, but he can't do it because of the trauma he has caused her.
I do love your mother, but she's more like a pet to me.
This episode is just about trauma. Speaking of trauma, there is a callback to William's boyfriend, Rick, and his trauma. When Mark has another panic attack, Rick notices it, and keep in mind, Mark has only told Cecil. Also, when Rick says to William that he has seen the traumatized face before, William replies, "Where? Like dog, you're his boyfriend. You've ridden his dick. You've tasted what it's like. How did you not know what he has been through in season 1? Did your brain rapidly age like Oliver and develop dementia?"
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to
Biden blast!
The one plot that I absolutely hate is Cecil keeping Conquest alive. First, let's go over the reasons why this is a very stupid incident. First, even Conquest says it, dog.
The boy left me alive. Stupid.
But let's go over the reasons that would explain why it is a stupid idea. He had a whole team that is capable of analyzing the bodies of Viltrumites.
Based on bone and muscle density scans, the simulations give Mark a less than 18% chance of surviving a combat encounter with her.
So, with this in his arsenal, Cecil is equipped to see he is dead stupid. He still goes along with it and almost got Mark killed. If it wasn't for his plot armor, Mark would be dead, and along with Oliver and Omni-Man. This would have doomed the coalition and the entire universe. So I was hoping this episode would have addressed it, but no. It feels like the writers wish to hold this image of Cecil that he is a cold, calculated character that draws the line between good and evil, but in reality, sometimes he is just straight up retarded. There were several memes about open the door, Cecil, but they repeated the same trick with Eve. Randomly Cecil dies. Writers are doing so to distract from the more urgent conversation that being conquest. Like they should talk about this, but they don't. This is an incident of a writer deceptively actually trying to distract from the plot points to actually make their story seem not stupid when it actually is. The highlight of the episode has to be the man, the myth, the legend, Grand Regent Thrag. His self control to not kill Invincible after Invincible blew up his home planet is so admirable. The rays he's holding back, I can't imagine how he's doing that. On top of that, when he offers him not to kill him and save the people of the earth in exchange of marks and the heroes of the earth not coming after Viltrumites, that is such a great deal. He spared his life and gave him a offer of a lifetime. That could have easily be a dumb brute of a villain, but offering truce to Nolan in episode 7 while making a great point that if Thaddeus will kill Thrax somehow, what are the guarantees Thaddeus won't come after Mark and Oliver? And what about Omni-Man himself? Because at the very end, Thaddeus still wants to kill all the Viltrumites. Even when Emperor Argyle told to kill Thaddeus, he seemed to not want to kill him. He is not about senseless violence. When you establish a villain is an actual person, it's a lot easier to be immersed in your stories. Now they could make power scaling better and the story would be a lot more immersive. Now let's talk about the Mark hesitation to take the deal from Thrag. If he refuses to shake his hand, then it means that his panic attack will come true. Then why doesn't he take the deal? As a person with mental health problem in the past, we don't start to make bad decisions just because we have mental illness. Yes, our brains are affected, but we still can make logical conclusions. And the thing is, he should be just taking the deal. It should not be this hard. It feels the writer wanted to make this story seem more intense than it is, but as a byproduct, it makes Mark look stupid because, again, he's saving his loved ones if he takes this deal. So now, was the episode 8 a mid episode? Well, yes. I say this because I love the show. It's incredible. But I feel like they were more interested in establishing the upcoming season, such as The Virus, where Alan, a funny character, becomes a more villainous like character. So they are hinting at a huge character development for him. I know the people suggest that the lack of any fight is why it is considered a mid, but ladies and gentlemen, this is an action show. Wanting fights in an action show is just like wanting pizza whenever you order for a pizza. And I say this from a perspective of a person who loves what happened between Debbie and Nolan. I do care about the characters' moments, but the moments like the Debbie and Nolan moments in episode has been done in the previous episodes. So given the plot point is repeated, what is the reason to praise the episodes? The Eve story was mishandled when the writer had Mark have a panic attack in the middle of the Eve story, and it took away from the Eve story. And I specifically do not want an action scene in that scene. So the thing is, I don't want fights. I actually want the character's moment to actually have a good, uninterrupted pacing. And I like this Nolan and season plot had no fight, but it's the peak of the episode. Given all of even the character moments are mishandled, repeated from the previous episodes, or great but not good enough to elevate the episode to the standard of the final episodes by being just one good moment. These standards have been set by the previous season 1 final and the season 3 final, and it's okay. We as fans can criticize the show. Useless criticism is not needed, but we must analyze a criticism before we throw it out.